You're on the internet. Let's say you want to watch an informative video on a technical topic. So of course you open yet another window in your browser and you type youtube.com into the search bar. Or maybe instead you type dailymotion.com or floatplane.com. What all these websites have in common, other than video hosting, is their domain extension, .com. This is what we call a top-level domain, or TLD. It's basically a code that instructs your computer where to look up the IP address of the website you're trying to find in the domain name system, or DNS, the big directory of everything the World Wide Web has to offer. So if you're going to mail.google.com, your computer will first go to the top-level domain, .com, then search the domain inside it, Google, then the subdomain inside that, if there is one, in this case, mail. The original decision to have the TLD come last was largely arbitrary at the time, though with new modern autocomplete features, it's handy to be able to just type in the first few letters of the domain or subdomain, which are far more specific. Different TLDs have different meanings and are grouped according to their intended purpose into 5 distinct categories, some of which are pretty interesting. First is the group for infrastructure TLDs. This group, such as it is, actually only contains one domain, ARPA. ARPA was the first domain created and is used for a lot of basic processes that allow the internet to function, like reverse DNS lookups, which allow computers to find the domain name that corresponds with an IP address. Next are generic TLDs, which are further divided into generic unrestricted and generic restricted. The difference being that anyone can apply for a generic unrestricted domain, while generic restricted domains have certain eligibility requirements. For example, restricted domains include .pro, which is for accredited professionals like accountants and lawyers. Originally, the only unrestricted TLD was .info. TLDs like .com, .net, and .org used to be restricted domains for commercial entities, networks, and organizations respectively, but the rules about who could register a domain under them went largely unenforced and eventually just disappeared. .com is far and foremost the most popular TLD on the internet, with a 52.8% share of all websites. The second most popular TLD is .org with 4.4%. That's why companies that operate solely on the internet are known as .coms. They even named an entire financial collapse after it. This popularity is to the extent that users often misremember websites under other TLDs as having .com extensions, leading organizations like wikipedia.org to also register wikipedia.com as a redirect to their main site. Other, more unsavory actors like scammers might register a similar subdomain, but under a different top-level domain in order to trick unaware users into thinking it's a more trustworthy site, a practice known as typo squatting. The collaborative nature of the internet means that many TLDs wound up being used for vastly different purposes than they were originally intended, depending on the decisions of the entity charged with managing them. One example is .tv, the TLD used by a little-known website called Twitch. .tv is not, as one may assume, a generic TLD for television shows and video streaming. What is it then? We'll tell you right after a word from our sponsor, who you can find at Grammarly using the ever-popular .com TLD. Whether you're writing a script for a YouTube video or emailing your boss to ask for a raise, ensuring you have proper communication and tone is key. That's why we recommend checking out Grammarly Premium's Tone Rewrite Suggestions feature. Sven on the business team uses this feature daily as it helps him ensure his writing is coming across as clear and as confident as he is. I met the guy, he's confident. And when he has to communicate hard deadlines to his clients, Grammarly has his back with their confident tone suggestions. Getting started is super easy. All you have to do is install the desktop app, log in, and start typing. Go to grammarly.com/techwiki to sign up for a free account and get 20% off Grammarly Premium today. .tv is actually part of the largest TLD group, country code TLDs, which contain 308 domains. Country code TLDs are typically restricted to citizens, residents, and organizations with some presence in the associated country. They include .uk for the United Kingdom, .ru for Russia, .ca for Canada, and the sadly neglected .us for the United States. .tv belongs to the small island nation of Tuvalu. Population 12,000, primary export fish. In the late 1990s, the Tuvalu government licensed use of its TLD extension for the purpose of marketing television shows and used the proceeds to buy Tuvalu's entry into the United Nations. Then there are sponsored TLDs, which need no segue. These are proposed and managed by private organizations. These include domains like .edu, .gov, and .mil, which are restricted to educational institutions, the US government, and the US military, respectively. There's also .XXX for other websites, featuring Vin Diesel or not. Finally, there are test TLDs, which are used to test software. .example, .invalid, .localhost, and .test are reserved for use by the Internet Engineering Task Force and are not even installed in the DNS directory. This is so that no current or future domain name registered in the DNS will conflict with one of these testing domains. That's a lot of information, but there's not gonna be a quiz after this. Thank you for watching. Like if you liked, dislike if you didn't, and if you'd like to know more about the DNS system and how it works, check out this video from 2016. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.